Alright folks, I'm just going to wait a couple minutes until somebody comes into the room. Hang on just a second here. I'm going to get myself situated. Get my thumbs wrapped up. Okay, we're up to 10 people already within a few minutes. Alright, good. Hang in there. I'm just starting to put a couple things together. I'm sorry I'm a little late tonight. Alright, hang on. Hello Jane. I'm doing fine. I just got to look for more tape for my thumb here. Hang on. There we go. Here's the whole roll. Ran a little late. I was trying to get some things done on the computer, which is driving me crazy. So, but that's okay. Let's see here. Alright, we're going to get started on Bernie. He's been a hot item all week. And, oh, hi, Justin. Yes, I talked to your mom last night. So, I think everything will be fine once they come back on line here. I'll be able to see them. Alright, folks, I'll get started in a second. We're going to need, whoops, sorry there, Bernie. We're going to start with a 2.5 inch tall by 1.5 by 1.5. It's our ornament series. And when I was doing this, oh, hello Jack. Nice to see that you joined us today. Alright, so what we're going to do is I have never done a caricature of a person twice. So hopefully this will work, and because it's being live, I'm a little I'm a little anxious about it. Now, let's see, I'm kind of, the anticipation is what it is. So anyway, I have something to go by, so let's start. So Bernie has just a coat on with a little hoodie on the back there to show that. And his mittens, of course, are the signature of what he has. Now, I was going to carve the glasses in, but I decided not to do that because it would be way too much to, and sometimes they don't look right when they're carved in. So I usually don't like adding pieces. This was the hardest part, was doing his glasses. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start doing a little bit of measuring so I know here where to go. Well, I had it down here. Hello, Iowa. Hello, Elizabeth. I'm just seeing 2 names at a time that pop up, so if I missed your name, I'm sorry. And we're going to try to go upward, okay? Slant up. It's not going to go straight across. It's going to go up. So we're going to go up here a little bit. We're going to measure that. 1, 2. So we're going to draw a line from there to there. And from here to there. Okay, and then we're going to go up just a tad more up here. Alright, so it looks like it's going upward. Let's see if that's enough for his back of his head there. Yeah, kind of. Hello, everybody. Got a nice crowd in here this week. Thanks for all the nice comments about Bernie. People have asked if I'm selling him. I had one lady that wanted 4. I had another lady who wanted 4 dozen of him. 4 dozen? I don't think so. And a couple other friends that wanted Bernie. So if I have it for sale, I'll let you know. It's like, I'm not sure if I want to spend that much time doing the same thing. My explanation to that is, hello Frank. My explanation to that is, a lot of times when you do the first one, it's fun. When you do the second one, it's okay. When you do the third, fourth, fifth, it becomes work. So I don't want anything to become work for me, especially with this hobby. So we're going to just start cutting right where the bottom part of his. And if Bernie, if you're watching, I had a great time carving you this week. It was a lot of fun. And anyway, let's push that in. We're going to just do a little notch there to start. Alright. Now here, because his ears come down and around, right, we're just going to go down just a little bit here. A little bit lower. And we're going to just cut, not so much from the top, from the bottom. see if I can, okay. Just like so. All right, we don't want to do too much right there. All right, same thing over here. We're going to go a little bit lower than that line, just a tad. And we're going to go straight across. If you ask any questions, you're free to ask. I may see it, I may not. I only see 2 names at a time that pop up. Then I'm going to take my hefty little V-tool, parting tool. V-tool is the same thing. I'm going to match these lines together. I have no idea how long this is going to take me to do, folks, tonight, so bear with me. Oh, great. I'm glad you got the tools and that you like them. Okay, we got to do a little notch in the back side here. There we go. All right. And that's this one you can go in pretty far. All right. All right. And we're going to match the lines again. All right. And I said to a couple of people, if I make a mistake with doing Bernie tonight, I can't just shut it off and start over. But it will be fun. All right, so that's where his head's going to be. We're not going to worry about the bottom part yet. The most important thing is that right. Now, just suggestion. If you're going to do any caricatures, I did Obama in the past, and I did a couple others. What you want to do, if you're interested in doing that, you want to go to Google and you want to research it to see how the caricatures are done by cartoonists. That will show you which part of the body is being exaggerated, like the ears or the bald head or, you know, the mask or the mittens is the big thing today, right? So that is a real good way to get some references if you're ever doing anything like that. So that would be a great way to do it. So the front's going to be the lower part, right? So this is the front. And what we're going to do here is we're going to circle out where his ears are going to go. So remember with the Santa, we did a half, like a letter C, just like so. Now the hard part about this is to get this exactly the same. So I'm measuring it with my finger and my pencil, and we're going to do a C on this side. Okay? And let's see if they look basically the same size from the back. Yes, they do. And we're going to extend that C a little bit to the front, a little bit of a curve. So we've got a nice round. That's too much light there. Let me just move this over here a little bit. So, hello, Lynn. And, all right, so we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to bring this around like this and like this. Now, his mask comes right from the ear, right? And it's going to go over his nose. So we're not really going to do a nose on him, but we're going to figure out, once we cut the ear out, let's do this. All right, so we're going to cut straight in. We're going to bring this down, all right? We're going to trim this off, just like we do when we do the bald-headed Santa. Now, if you haven't seen that, it is online. You can look at it later. I'm not one to add pieces to a carving separate from what the carving is. Hello, Donna and Henny. So we're going to just bring this down a little bit. And we're going to trim this off just a tiny bit. Okay, just like so. All right, so there's one ear. Let's do the other one. Hello, Linda. Now's a good time to take a look at it and see the ears. Well, this one looks a little higher than that one, so that's going to be a little bit of a problem. We're going to bring this one up a little bit. That looks a little bit better. Okay. All right. So the ears and eyes, when you try to match stuff, it can be... Hello, Jenny. I love the picture of you and your, my dad talking at the table. I thought that was a very nice picture when you guys came to visit. All right, so let's do this. All right, we're going to go back over here. We're going to continue with this one here. And we're going to just bring this down a little bit. All right, so what we're going to do here, we're going to trim this off at the top. All right, now we have kind of his head starting to shape, so we're going to keep shaping it this way for a second. You notice I have it on the table as I'm cutting. I'm going to turn around and we're going to do the other side. We're going to take all this rough stuff off, because if you don't, his head's going to look really blotchy, like he's been in the sun for a little bit, if you don't do it right. Okay, so that's kind of the head for now. All right. So, hello, Louisiana. Boy, people from all over are watching tonight. That's great. Thanks for joining, everybody. Let's see if this can be fun. Now, this is the front. All right. So now we're going to try to bring his head down in the back. Let's do that first. We're going to trim some of this off. Let me see if I can find another better knife than that one. That's a little sharper. Well, it's icy over here in PA. We didn't get a lot of ice, but we're calling for no ice. So I'm going today. I just stayed home, stayed safe. There's not a whole lot of places you can go right now anyway, with the COVID going on. I was very delighted with how much fun people had with Bernie this past week. All the pictures and stuff. Okay, now his face has got to come out of here. So the first thing we're going to do is going to try to figure out where this is going to come down and around like so, and that's going to go up a little bit. All right, so I'm going to look at that. I'm going to do the same thing over here. We're going to come down a little bit and bring it up and around. Let me take a look at that over here and see if I have that right. Yeah, pretty good. So I want a little bit of a curvature there at the top. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start cutting right here where the nose and the mask meet for the eyes and stuff. Okay, I'm just going to bring this down and we're going to chop this off. Hello, Christina. Boy, the whole Cameron family's coming online. It's nice to see. Okay, so this is really going to be down a lot deeper than it is. This is just the start of us chopping his head smaller. All right. And so I'm going to start rounding his nose off a little bit. And this is going to come down quite a ways yet. All right. All right. Now, let me take a look at something here. All right. Boy, his head's way too wide yet, but we'll work on that. All right, so I'm going to go down a little further from the ears, and we're going to cut a little more off at the side. Like I said, I haven't done a second one of anything before, so this is kind of all new territory for me to do it twice. And as you know, all handwork is never going to look the same from one to the other. They'll look similar, but they won't look the same. Some people can do that. I certainly cannot do that. All right, so, yeah, I was saying in the beginning how many people want to buy him. I had one lady order 4 dozen of Bernies. No, that's not really going to happen. Hello from Kenneth Square. That's pretty local. All right. Let's see. And so we're going to start going in here. We're going to start digging this out a little bit more. This is the tough part to do a lot of times, is digging all this stuff out. Because you want to make it deeper. It's certainly not deep enough. All right. So I was explaining to people earlier that tuned in, if you ever carve anything or you do any kind of handiwork and you spend a lot of time on one piece and you really enjoy doing it because it's something new and different, and then you go to make the second one, it's still fun, it's not bad, and then the third one starts becoming work, especially if you don't change anything on it at all. If you leave it the way it is, I'm going to trim his head down a little bit more because we need a little bit more rounded. It is different, so I never want this to become a work type job for me. This is a hobby for me, and I enjoy it, and I carve when I feel like it, and I carve what I want when I want to do it, and that keeps it interesting for me. All right, so let's make this little line right here. Well, let me think how I'm going to do this. Give me just a second here. This definitely has to come in. I'm going to spray this. This wood's a little harder than I like. When I first started doing Bernie, he started to look like the Ninja Turtle. And I thought, this is not going to work. Taking a swig of my hot chocolate. It's a hot chocolate kind of night. And I thought, oh my goodness, I can't do this. And I thought, well, I'll just keep going at it and see what it looks like. And finally it started looking like Bernie. But, so that's my encouragement to you. If it doesn't look like a whole lot to you, just keep going at it. I'm following the ear now. Now we're going to trim the ears down, of course, quite a bit. And we'll do that here in a second here. And, you know, the head's really big right now, but it's going to take me a while to whittle all that down to where I want. And I fussed with it quite a while, so I'm giving you the basics of how to do Bernie, but you make it look like Bernie. All right, so we're going to just trim a little bit off of the mask at the bottom a little bit. All right. Now, when you do the ear, let me take a look at this for a second. That needs to be turned a little bit. All right, so what you want to do is you just want to do a little notch going down, okay? Just a little notch like that, all right? If I can make that notch, there we go. And one going up a little bit. That's the C that I talked about earlier. All right, and we're just going to keep going here. All right. Same thing here. I'm going to carve that up a little bit. Carve that one down a little bit. All right. Now that ear looks different than that one. That's because that one's dug in further. So we're going to do that over here in a second here. We're just going to bring this down a little bit. If you have questions, I'll try to catch it as we go. I can't always see the questions because I only see 2 people at a time pop up on the screen. But, okay. So, let's get going with the face. So we have this mask already done here, like so, up and around his nose, and then down a little bit, and then back up. Then just going straight across, it gives it a little bit more, you know, just helps it a little bit. So I'm going to take my little V-tool, and I'm going to just go down like so. All right, we're going to go up and around his nose area there. Now, normally when I do my carvings, I do big fat noses and big fat eyes, and well, that's not going to happen tonight because Bernie has little squinty eyes, so that's what I saw in some of the, he can really widen them up pretty good, but for the most part, I didn't know exactly how I was going to do that. So I'm going to just make another cut going across and just dig it out a little bit further. Alright, so we're going to just dig this out. Okay, just like so. We're still going to try to mesh that together a little bit because, you know, the mask itself is a bit different. So, if I do have some of these for sale, if I make a couple more after today, that's probably all I'm going to do. I'm not going to do that many. All right, so now I'm going to figure out where the eyes go because he needs eyebrows and all that. It's right from underneath the, we're going to take his glasses off here for a second. There he is. It's going to come down and around, and we're going to come up, and we're going to go down, and we're going to dig this out. And I put a little eyelid on him for the reason I didn't want a big eyeball. You can make a big eyeball. It's up to you. But I did a little squinty kind of eye and painted the same as I did my Santa's. All right. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to put this a little bit closer to the nose. The bridge of the nose is pretty wide on here. So I'm going to just bring this a little bit closer. We're going to go up and around like so. All right. And let me bring this down just a little bit. So it helps me out to draw it on there. Bring that over a little bit like so, and we're going to bring that right over to here. Okay, because his hair is going to come from both sides, right on the sides here, right next to his eyeballs pretty well. So we're going to cut this down a little bit later on, and that will make that head look a little bit smaller. So I'm going to take the V tool again. That makes it a little easier. I'm just going to go down. I'm going to go from the top of the eye. We're just going to make the socket right now, okay? That's all we're doing. So it's like the letter C, all right? This just gives me a guideline where to cut with my knife. It's just a lot cleaner to do it this way. Yes, Bill, this will be on YouTube, so if you're missing any of it, and I'm going way too fast for some of you, I'm sure, that's been the complaint. It always goes on to YouTube about an hour and a half later in the same evening. So yes, and I'll have a DVD of all these eventually. I had stopped doing it. Actually, this is my 30th project since the COVID started. This is my 30th week teaching on YouTube. So we did 30 different projects since then. So let's just dig this out a little bit more, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to just slowly cut the eyeball out, okay? Just like so. Now this will come down a little bit more, you know. We're just going to start figuring out where the eye is going to go here. And in those corners you want to put a little triangular cut to make that eye a little rounded. Alright? Same thing on this eye. Actually, we're going to go kind of deep over here because that's the end of that nose area. So I'm going to take this down a little bit. Alright. You're welcome, Jane. I enjoy doing them. Alright. So let me do another clean sweep over the top here a little bit. And make that a little bit deeper. Okay, so there's the one eye. Alright. Now we'll do the other eye here. I'm going to take my knife and I'm just going to follow that line that I did with the parting tool. That really does help make that line a lot cleaner and neater than trying to do it with the knife. People wonder if it's really good to have a V-tool. Absolutely it is. It's excellent to have a V-tool. Now right here, it's a little bit too high. We're going to bring this down a little bit. Right, we're going to now I found out something interesting when I talked to my cousin last night in Canada. She couldn't I didn't see them pop up because you have to be, in order to comment, you have to be a member of the page. And once I hit 5,000 people, no more can go on that page. So I may have to switch that out later. Now, see what I mean by the Ninja Turtle? That's what, that's what I thought at first. But let's just keep hacking away here. And we'll get this all worked out. Okay, we're going to do the same thing over here. Just bring this in further. All right. Now, this right here, we're going to trim this off a little bit, and we're going to do a little bit more there in a minute here. But his eyes are pretty well finished for the most part, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper because I like it a little bit deeper, right? See where the hat or where the mask and the eyebrows start? We're just going to make that a little bit deeper, okay? That's not deep enough for me. So we're going to bring this down a little bit. And it's okay to worry about, you don't worry about cutting it too deep because it needs to be deeper. All right, let me do it back here for a second where I can see it a little bit better. And I'm a little closer to it. You know, I was very pleased to see how many people were having fun with this past week, considering everything going on in politics. It was just a fun thing. And I think it was really interesting that how many people put out photographs and just had fun with it. I think we all needed a good laugh and something lighthearted. And I was very pleased to see that. So, okay, see how I'm pushing that? I'm trying to get a little bit of a bump in there, a little bit. So, and I don't want to trim too much off that nose, but I try to shape that a little bit more to the nose itself, like so, and like so. Now I'm going to start on the ears. We're going to just trim those out a little bit. I'm just scooping them out, see? That's all you got to do is scoop it out. Now you want to leave a little bit on there because if you're going to put the wire on for his I would really leave a little more room. Some people said his ears stuck out too much. Oh well, you know, you're not going to please everybody with what you do. And so we're going to take care of that in a second here. Now right here where the face, we're going to just cut a little V-cut right straight down. Okay? We'll fix that up in a second here. Hang on just a second. Well, thank you. Warm chocolate now. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go straight across this way, and we're just going to do a little V-cut, just like so. All right. Blend that all together there. All right. Same thing over here. We're just going to do a little V-cut with your knife. Go from one angle and then do the other angle, and the ear should pop out a little further. Okay. That's what you want. And you're going to round this off a little bit underneath the ear. Same thing here. You want to be careful with the ear because you can knock that thing off if you're not careful. All right. Now, I'm going to trim him up a little bit more. I'm not too happy with his head yet, but you'll see it come together after we put the hair on. I heard the lady that did the crocheting Bernie and that he was sitting on the bench. It sold for $15,000, and they donated that money to charity, which was really nice. They did it for Meals on Wheels, and that worked out pretty good. All right, so we're going to trim his head up a little bit more. It's a little bit too wide for me. Bernie has a nice little round head up there. My dad was always bald at the top too, so. All right. Let me just spray this for a minute to make it a little bit easier to cut. And we're going to bring this down a little bit. And you're just going to keep rounding his head off as much as you can, okay? So when we do the ears are going to just come down a little bit more. Scoop it out. You want that to stick out. And then we're going to put a little hole in there. And I'll do that with the knife because a lot of people don't have the real small tools to do them. So I'll show that to you in a second here. I'm going to trim that off a little bit more. And we're going to kind of mesh that whole thing. Now, size are kind of big, but what I usually do with eyes is I can show it to you. I'm going to put one little line across. It's very simple. We're going to spray his eyeballs here for a second. Alright. What we're going to do is we're going to take the pencil. Well, you can take a pencil and just go across a little bit more to the top. Alright. And we're going to go straight across with a sharp knife, and we're going to just go up a little bit. Now you want to be very careful when you do this because you could really knock that eyelid off. And that's all that is an eyelid. Alright, so and then we're going to round that bottom part off a little bit more. Let me hang on just a second. Let me put some glasses on here so I can see what I'm doing. Alright. I'll be right back. I'm sorry, I can't do this all the way in front without chipping something out, so bear with me. Alright. So that's how the eyelid is done, okay? And then I take this and I just bring this down and I kind of smooth that out a little bit so it's not so square. Alright, and then I'll do the other eye the same way. I'll just take the knife going across. You want a little bit of a pointy knife to get in there. Alright. Now, normally I don't do eyelids, but if you want him to look sleepy or a Santa to look sleepy, you can do it that way. Alright, so that is up to you. Now again, I'm going to try to round it off a little bit here and there. And take it down a little bit on the inside. Let me just take it back here real quick. It's a little more comfortable for me to do it without knocking something out. It doesn't need to be knocked out. Alright, and then so that is pretty well his head for now. And I'm trying to see, yeah. Looks a little different, but that's alright. I'm going to take this down a little bit further. There we go. This can come down a little further. Alright. Yes, the eyes, I don't normally put eyelids on them. Some people really do. I like the big, wide-eyed look for the most part. You can leave Bernie that way and have big eyes on him if you want. You can mix it up any way you like. There's no right or wrong way of doing it. All right, now, up here where the head and the ear, you want to put a little V cut. And we're going to put a little V cut all the way behind the ear so it looks like it's sticking out a little bit more. Now this can come down a little bit. That's way too far out. Alright, we can bring that in a little bit. And there's not a lot you have to cut on these ears. You want to just be careful. And we're going to make this a lot deeper as well in the back of the head. He's got a little, like I said, he's got a little scrunch up little hoodie on the back of him. So, alright, so what I do here is I just do a little triangular cut for the inside of the ear. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and I keep doing that until I'm happy with the way that looks. And if you want to make it a little bit round, you can. But that's how I usually do it. And this side has to be done yet. So let's just trim this down a little bit more. Trim that down. And once you paint him, you know, he'll look like Bernie. Hopefully. Again, we're going to cut into the ear a little bit to give it a little bit of a point. Do the same thing at the top here, because when you put those glasses on, you need it to hang on to some. If I would have had a choice, I'd just super glue them on after you have the painting done. Okay, where I got the stuff, well, this is what I used for his eyes. It was something I found in my dad's desk over here. I was looking for a wire, and this is what I came up with. But I also I bought some wire at Michael's yesterday, and this is what I came up with, and it does a pretty good job. The hard part is getting it to fit over the eyes and having it the same size. I'm not real good with that, but alright, so let's continue here. Let's trim this out a little bit more. We're going to put a little triangular cut right there for the ear. Okay. And we're going to fuss with that a little bit. That's the ears. And let's see how I have this now. Okay, so let's just trim this down a little bit right here. I'm not real happy with that, so okay, same thing over here. I'm going to just trim a little bit off. And a lot of this is you just go back and keep trimming things off as you need them. Now, his hair, pretty simple. It's just like we did with the bald-headed Santa. Just bring it down and around, and you want it going down. See how I have it going down and around. Okay, go up and around this way. See, we have it pretty standard here. Okay, take your bee tool and go at it. And you can make a pretty good chunk out of it, because you're going to make actually his bald head a little bit smaller, because his hair was kind of wild. I was going to stick a couple pieces. In fact, I don't know where I put it, but I had a little piece of a chip on the back to show that his hair was a little wild. But that day when that picture was taken, it wasn't really wild, so we'll leave it the way it is. But I made it so that we could actually do that. So what you're going to do is you're going to trim out from the head. You're going to trim over there like that, okay? And over here you're going to do the same thing. Okay, this needs to come down a little bit. Too blocky. I was mentioning earlier, if you just popped in, the best way to do caricatures of any person that you want to, famous or not famous or whatever. You want to take, you want to go to Google and see how the cartoonists draw them, okay? Because that will be a real, they exaggerate certain aspects of their face or their head, and it works out pretty good. Okay, let me just cut this out a little bit. Let me take this back here for a second. Having a hard time with this one part here. All right, Bernie. It's pretty well his head and his face, and once you paint it up, it will look a lot different. All right, so there's a few things. You want to take all that rough stuff off. All right, and you want to continue going down here with the coat. You know, so you'll redo this mask a little bit as you go here. I just nicked myself. Isn't that sweet? All right. Well, anyway, I don't do that too often, but occasionally, and of course, it's that portion of it. All right. I'll be right back. Let me see if I can seal that up. I use a lot of liquid Band-Aids from time to time. I'll just let that dry. I don't want that going all over my carving. Liquid Band-Aid works well for little nicks. Yeah, we all do it somewhere along the line, okay? So, what we do is, and we're still here. All right, let me see if I can trim that off a little bit more. All right. All right, so let's start. Where's my pencil? All right, to do his body, I'm not quite done with the head yet, but I want to start doing this portion of it. So I'm going to round off this part. That's not the knife I want. Where's my Murphy knife? I use that from time to time. Here it is. That cuts really well. Okay, and we're going to just round him off like he's sitting. Okay, that stopped bleeding. That's good. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to figure out where his arms, if you look at it, his arms are, one is draped over the other. So what we're going to do here is we're going to actually figure out where his arms are going to be first. So I'm going to do it there and do it here. I measure it and go down. We'll go up and around this way, a little ways. And we'll go around this way as well. I don't know if that's far enough here. Hang on just a second. Now it's a little bit lower on this side. So let's redo that. All right, come up and around. All right, so that's what we have there. And so this is going to come down and around, and we're just going to kind of mark where it's going to go here. And this little mitten comes out at the other side here. And this gets draped over top, all right? We can bring that out a little further. Alright, and we'll figure all this out. Alright, so right here is where his arms are going to start, right? So this has to kind of meet right in the center. So I'm going to cut it right here. I'm going to make my first cut. Go in a little bit deeper. There we go. And I'm going to cut underneath the arms first. Alright. And over here you're going to do the same thing. Alright. Actually, we're going to take a little bit of that corner off. Alright. Now you're going to follow this out. You're just going to come up a little bit at an angle. Alright? That's it. When you do this, you don't want to be banging up into his neck area there. Okay, this is going to go all the way up. Alright? It's going to go all the way up to his neck. Alright? Same thing over here. And down and around. Alright. So, I heard my sister said they had a blizzard up in Canada. She wants to know what it was like down here, and I said, well, icy. I don't know which is worse. I think the blizzard's worse. We didn't get that much ice, to be honest with you. Let me just dig this out a little bit with the e-tool. Sometimes it's a little easier. Well, it is January, after all. I can't work out in the field for the fencing right now either. That's not going to work for a while. Alright, let's keep chopping this out. Alright, so we're going to stop here. We just want a little bit of a rounded belly there. Not that he's overweight or anything, but I don't want it too flat. He's definitely not overweight. Alright, so once we get that done, what you want to do is you want to follow this out, and we're going to just put this like so. Alright, that's the one. This is going to come out over here, and that's going to be the second one. Then this one's going to come out and around, because we want a nice big mitten there. That's going to come down and around. So we're going to do the top one first. Where's my V-tool? There we go. There's the V-tool. And we're going to just follow everything out. Okay, so we're going to just chop that out. We're going to just keep going here. We're just going to define that a little bit later. And then this is going to come down. We're going to stop right there because we're going to turn it there. Have a little bit of a alright, that's a one mitten. Alright, and then the other one sticks out underneath and comes underneath here. So we're going to just bring this back a little bit. And we're going to move that off. good. That's what I wanted. All right, so this is going to come down and around like so. I'm going to cut this out. There we go. We're going to cut this out more right here. All right, his coat didn't flare out like that, so. All right, so we're going to go up to that corner. We're going to go back around this way. We're going to cut all this out. Okay, right here. Let me see something here. Let's cut this up a little closer. There we go. We're going to take this right here. We're going to cut this out a little, just to bring this down a little bit. All right, just like so. Hang on just a second. Some of you folks are having a problem with my online store, and I was working on it 3 hours today, and I cannot make heads or tails of what's wrong with it, so I may have to revamp some things with that. So you're going to round everything off. Bring this back down a little bit more. There we go. And it's a lot of fussing on this thing. You're not just going to do a few cuts and you're done with it. You got to go back over it a few times to see how it's going to work out for you. And this is the back part of his arms as well. Okay, and we're going to just keep chopping underneath his arm because his mittens are so important, right? I mean, that really was so funny to see that. I think the lady that was making them wasn't making them anymore, but all right. So let me look at something here. Let me just trim this off a little bit more because we want that end part to look a little bit rounded. All right, so there we go. We're going to bring this down a little bit, and then we're going to bring it. I'm going to bring this down just a tad more. I don't know what time it is, folks. I don't know how long I've been at this, but I never know until I'm done. Might be an hour, might be 45 minutes. I never know. So, anyway. So when you're going to do this portion, you want to take all the rough stuff off. All right? You want to take all the rough stuff off. Now, let me take a look at Bernie here for a second. His head's definitely smaller. So what we're going to do is we're going to hack the back part of his head off. I don't know why that is, Jane. I have no idea. Hello, Heather. I just saw you popped in. Okay, that looks a little bit better. And I'll be fussing with this when we get offline a lot more. So we're going to just bring this in a little bit, this in a little bit. All right, so what we're going to do here, pretty simple. We're going to just go across like this, and we're just going to chop out a little piece, and we're going to round this off a little bit. Okay, I'm going to round off his arms a little bit more. Oh, there it is. Hang on just a second. I want to see what it looks like. All right. So, yeah, I'm going to bring this in a little bit more. Like I said, you can fuss with it and fuss with it. And that's what you'll do, especially if you're trying to emulate, like copy, make it into someone. Alright, so I'm going to revamp him a little bit. But you get the idea what has to be done. Alright, so that's how you do the front part. You just keep bringing this down. Now right here where this meets, I make it a little bit smaller. What I do is I just bring it in a little bit so it looks like it's coming out from underneath the coat. Alright, just like so. Alright, his other arm is over here. We're going to put a little cut there. We're going to just go up a little bit like so. And then we're going to, again, make a little bit indentation where the arms come out from underneath the jacket. There. Alright. And I'm going to clean that all up later. The last part we need to do is the back part of his body. And he has that hoodie on there. So what I decided to do with him is to take it out from over here and just kind of drape it down a little bit. Up and around. Kind of evenly. And then take my V-tool and cut it across. Alright, just like so. You want to go in kind of deep because you want it kind of sitting there. Alright, just like so. And I usually take my knife again and I make another cut across it. And then I cut up towards it, right? Just like so. Yes, Linda will be on YouTube. Hello, Paula. Nice that you joined us tonight. Okay, same thing over here. We're going to trim this out. And you're going to try to flush it down to the body. Alright, so this got to come out a little bit right there. See what a difference a couple of cuts can make. It can really make the difference on a piece. It really can. So we're just going to bring this up and around, and we're going to bring this down a little bit more. So it looks like there's a nice big chunk of a hat there. So a little bit more in the middle. And folks, you can do this coat any which way you want. There's no right or wrong way of doing it. Alright, this I'm going to bring down a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. That's good. And I'm going to trim all that off. Get rid of your lines if you're making them with a pencil like I just did. If you don't, it's going to come up darker when you paint it. So, and it's just taking your time doing these extra little cuts and stuff. See the V-tool, the deeper you go with the V-tool or a V-cut, the better it looks. More distinct that line becomes, and it just works out better. So There we go. Nice. Then I take my V-tool once again, and I just start doing a few little wrinkles here and there to show that it's the coat, okay? Yeah, or however you want to do it, it's fine. There's no right or wrong way of doing it, okay? Just like so. That makes it look like a little bit of a hoodie on it. All right. Then we're going to finish up his hair and his eyebrows. So we're going to just go up this way a little bit and just do a couple little strokes. Some longer, some shorter. And same thing here. All right. And then the hair goes in every direction pretty well. I try to make it look a little wilder than it is because his hair is always kind of out of place, or so I'm going in different directions. And I do a pretty deep cut with it. I don't, you know, you want to go in different directions, okay? I always work towards the edge first. And then I bring it down around to the neck. And then I fill in between later. It's usually how I do it. Again, I go in different types of directions to make it look coarse. Alright, now the ear's not completely done. What I usually do with the ear, I take the V-tool and I just do a little rounded thing there. Just like so. Alright, same thing over here. I just follow that C pattern that I have on the ear itself. You want to be careful when you do this because you don't want to be knocking anything out if you can help it. Alright, if the ears look too crazy, then you know, I'm going to try to get a little bit of a notch out there. Alright, let me clean this up a little bit. The other thing I did was I put a little bit of I put like another line across and one coming down to give him cuffs on his sleeves, on his coat, I mean. And one there. Now that has to be cleaned up a little bit. That doesn't look right. And that's really dug in there kind of deep, so we'll go a little deeper and clean that up. Alright, now the next thing we have to do is I'm going to go a little bit, I'm going to follow this line just a little bit long and clean it up a little bit, just like so. Okay, especially there in the corner where it changes directions. And sometimes just doing another cut to clean it up makes a world of difference on these things. Okay, so I'm going to trim his thing back a little bit. His mittens. Alright. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this down to here. This down to here. That's this little coat thing. I just used a knife and went on either side of it. And then I painted the little dots on. I didn't carve those in for the buttonholes on his jacket. Alright. And I'll show you what this thing looks like later on once I have it all painted up. Let me see if I can get some glasses on Bernie here. Let me take a look at something. His head looked completely different. Yeah. So let me just trim a little bit off here and there yet. And square it up a little bit more. Alright folks, that's our Bernie. And once you put his glasses on and stuff and you paint it, you put his eyes in, he'll look a little different. Okay, how I painted him was a little bit of brown and white for his eyebrows, of course white. His head is, color, skin tone, gray for his coat, and then his mittens were a mix of brown, a little bit of orange mixed with the brown, and white and tan. And that's it, folks. I don't know. We'll see what he looks like when I get him painted. I have no idea. But the back always looks like him. You know, you could always have him just looking away with his hands behind his back would probably be better with his mittens. But anyway, have a great night, folks. Thanks for joining me here on the Carver's Wood Shop. And I'll show you what he looks like when I'm done. All right, take care. Bye-bye.